Okay. So what we're gonna do now is bring my man in here. Give me a second. Gonna bring my man in. We gotta make sure. Let me know if y'all hear him too. Hold on. Cool. Oh yeah, you in there? Was popping, Jad? Was popping?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, my guy? Everybody, give a round of applause for my man Jad. What's up? How have you been, bro?
Been cool. Just work and such. Easy with work week. Now I'm on break.
There you go.
Can't complain.
Nah, man, I'm gonna tell you what. I had a whole incident last night when I was working. It's like I work at a group home, and one of the dudes called the cops on me.
On you?
Yeah. It's a long story. Y'all hear my homie Jad? Y'all hear him, y'all? Just making sure. Cause all right, whatever. They'll
Like, screw it.
They'll talk to me. Okay, so we here, man. We okay, bet. Thank you, Shin. All right, so we here.
Can they hear me?
Yes, sir. They can hear you loud and clear.
Sweet.
So we got you here because we want to talk about the Matrix 4. I went and seen it the other day. First off, let's get some. How did you feel about that movie, my guy?
I didn't hate it. It was all right. It didn't need to exist, but I don't hate that it exists all the same. It has some cool ideas that maybe could have used a little more time in the oven to actually get out properly.
Facts.
But
I completely agree.
It wasn't bad.
I compare the Matrix 4 to have you seen Breaking Bad?
Most of it. And I know the analogy you're going with because I saw your review.
Yeah. I compare it to El Camino. It's basically what you said. It like Breaking Bad was an amazing series. El Camino, it didn't have to happen, but it happened, and it didn't take away from more or less or anything from the series. It was just like the icing on the cake. It was one of those type of things. I thought it was really good. I'm trying to figure out what exactly is it about the movie that people are really disappointed with, though. What do you
because I think it's more of it wasn't the other ones, and the stuff that it does do feels a little weird. Because you have some characters returning, but it's not the same actors playing them for whatever reason. Maybe Warner Brothers didn't back a big enough truck of money up to them.
Well, according to Lana Wachowski, the thing was that she didn't even want to do the movie at all. But Warner Brothers kept
I can see that.
Yeah, Warner Brothers kept throwing money at her. So unfortunately she had some losses in her family, and I guess the only people that she felt comforted by is Neo and Trinity. So I guess
that explains the first third of the movie.
Yeah. So she I guess was motivated by the comfort of that to create the fourth movie. So, and Hugo Weaving as Smith, apparently he was shooting another movie at the same time, so he technically he literally could not do the movie because he was contracted to do another movie at the same time. So there's that one. And I was very disappointed because Smith is my favorite character.
He wasn't in there a whole lot. They could have worked something out.
And
it didn't back a big enough truck to him. That's all.
And I'll tell you what, if Hugo did play Smith, I would have been kind of upset because the way, like, Smith is an iconic villain in this Matrix franchise, and he's like to have such an iconic villain have such a small, minuscule role, I would have felt really offended. But like the fact that we got this new cat, I'm like, oh, I mean, all right, I guess, because his whole role in the whole movie was kind of strange. I mean, did you understand the? I mean, I guess I don't know. The analyzer must have like he had some weird beef with the analyzer. What was that?
So the whole point of him, and it's very tied with the exile programs. They want the previous version to be rolled back because that's back when they had power. That's back when they could do stuff. So when this new version rolled out, they either became bums like we saw with Merovingian, or in Smith's case, he became a lapdog under their control.
But that's weird though to me because okay, so you remember when they all met up with the Merovingian and Smith was fighting Neo. Well, he talking about how when he became unplugged again, Smith became unplugged again. So
yeah.
So why is he still tripping as if he can't go out and do exactly what he did in the last trilogy?
So the reason being is because Neo is still alive and in the Matrix. So it's either he's not in the Matrix or he's dead. Either way, that triggers the failsafe to roll it back to the previous version. So that's why he was trying to off him that whole time until the end.
Oh, okay. I got a little confused at that part because I had to go out freaking on the phone for important reasons. But okay, cool, bet. Well, still, I feel like the biggest the biggest villain of the entire franchise became like a stepping stone in the movie. It just felt like because he was there, but he wasn't like a big plot in it at all. And I felt like, wow, y'all just gonna play my man Smith like that. But I don't know, maybe there's gonna be another movie, and then there's some, because like it doesn't feel like this movie would do a sequel. It kind of feels like I said, it just feels like an icing on the cake. They did everything in the trilogies, and then like the last hurrah is we're going to get Neo and Trinity alive and back together and have a happy ending, and they'll live happily ever after. So I'm not sure if they're going to make another one, and if they do make another one, like if it's going to be like the whole movie to me feels like a lot more like colorful and happier. Does that make any sense?
No, it does, and that is intentional.
Yeah.
Specifically for what the analyst was saying.
Yeah, because it's apparently that world is more built on the emotions of people, or I guess specifically Trinity and Neo, rather than ones and zeros and making it all dark and bleak.
Yeah, I watched it earlier today, and I took notes because have stuff to talk about, and that was one of the ones that stood out is apparently feelings are more important than facts.
Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, but
like directly from the analyst himself. Like that's not even me interpreting it.
But I had a issue with that. Like, how are you going to say that feelings are more important than facts inside a simulation created by programs and machines that actually took over the world?
Because they paid attention to the last 4 years of American politics. That's how they knew. They saw that presidential election and said, "Well, that seems to work."
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things that I feel like could have been better, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad. What were your highlights of the movie?
So I kind of jotted them all down in order in which they happened. I think it'd be better to just go and to start from the beginning, go from there.
Yeah, go off, do your thing.
Well, they just retreaded the whole first movie in the first 10-15 minutes.
They did.
Because nostalgia. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Thought it was neat that programs could be extracted in addition to people.
That was really cool.
That was different. thought it was cute that there's a smooth jazz version of it's called Spy Break playing in Mr. Anderson's office, which is basically the battle music that played during that elevator scene in the first movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But it's like they slowed it down and jazzed it up.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that the movie makes fun of itself for existing. They even call out Warner Brothers by name.
Right. I think that's weird because that's an element in the movie that a lot of people didn't like. And I thought it was actually pretty cool the way they did that. I guess it was too meta for people. That's the term that they're using. But like that's all what the Matrix is about. So I didn't understand why people didn't like that. Like the whole montage thing where they were making like about the Matrix 4. I thought that was cool.
It kind of is, but the older ones was more about, hey, this is what we think the future is going to be like from our view in the 90s/early 2000s. Whereas this is what the movie studios are making us do now. So we're just going to bring attention to that because we can.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I can't hold you up, man. Like, if Lana felt that way, then like, and plus, like, to me, it reflected more of how things are in 2021 going on in 2022. So I don't understand, like, do people expect to have a movie in 2021 developed how it would be in the 90s? Is that what people are expecting? Or
I think so. And the movie, smartly enough, even actually points that out because they even said, like, oh, we can't just regurgitate and rehash. And then the dude said, why not? Reboot sell. So, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Reboot sell, but like a lot of reboots don't sell too well because people like, okay, like you gonna have reboots. Prime example, I guess everybody keeps comparing it to The Force Awakens.
Did gangbusters.
Like people was excited and then seen how it turned out. Yeah, but I can create a whole freaking book report.
Well, no, it wasn't that one that people got mad about.
Oh, it was the next one, The Last Jedi, right? Yeah. Because no, the Force Awakens was I really enjoyed that, and like I said, I can make a whole book report about how they hold my man freaking Finn. That nigga should have been. I will always say that he should have been the Jedi of the story.
Look, you and the entire internet has been saying that for years. I've been saying that. You've been saying that. I know quite a few people that is their whole thesis, and it was supposed to be that. But Kathleen Kennedy and Disney said no, because we can't let a person of color not be demasculated or be humiliated or be mangled up and get the white woman in the end.
Bro, they reduced that man to just freaking yelling. What's her face's name?
Ray.
Ray should just been saying that's all he was now is just freaking a simp for Ray.
I know.
The whole entire time, bro. When the first trailer of The Force Awakens came out and I saw my man pull out that freaking
tears,
I was so emotional. I said, yes, look at my man. And then they just freaking hold him, bro. They nerfed him.
I know. Trust me. No. I know. See, it wasn't even a nerf. They said, hey, we're just going to retcon all this because we can. Man. Yeah. But that's another discussion because I will literally lose my shit if I talk about that.
Right, exactly.
So, other things I liked. Simulate being the name of the coffee shop. Clever, but a bit on the nose. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Old man version of Neo could be seen in the reflections of surfaces that he's not looking at. Because like when they were at the coffee shop that first time and he took a sip, if you look at the table that the coffee was sitting on, that you could see his reflection in it, but it's the old guy and not how he sees himself.
Twitchaholic.
The same thing was when he was in the bathroom taking the pills. Like one of the shots when he was taking them, the mirror was off to the side. He was looking straight on, so he saw himself in the mirror in front of him. But to the side, it still showed the reflection of the old man. Which I thought was really neat. Because when I first watched it, I was like, hold up. Who the hell is that?
Right. Because like even if you notice when Bugs was talking about how she saw him and we seen him on the roof, it was some bald dude.
Yeah, it was some bald dude that like by the way, he almost killed himself because of the Game Awards. Let
Yeah.
that sink in. Like it was straight up the Game Award trophy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Jeff Keighley, you
almost,
got any input on that, sir?
right. You almost killed my man.
Right. So also, here's a fun little Easter egg. So during that little montage of him when they were playing the White Rabbit song over and over and over, did you notice what Neo was eating when he was in that shop?
Oh yeah, he was eating the noodles. Oh man, I used to eat there.
Yeah, I used to eat there.
Yeah,
Had really good noodles.
Had really good noodles.
Yeah, that's what he was eating. So I thought that was a nice little attention to detail.
Yeah. So that to me that probably hints that to where they literally like put him back in his regular life that he used to.
No,
be.
They did.
Yeah.
Like literally, like that building that they're in, it's the same building that he worked in before. They just changed the outside.
Oh wow, that's good. That's crazy. So Metacortex, right? Metacortex when he was okay, yeah.
Yes. If you notice, there's even it's yes.
Yeah.
Also, so here's another thing. This is a quote from Tiffany. I should get more therapy, but honestly, I'm too goddamn tired. Is the most 2021 thing I've ever heard.
Facts.
Ever uttered in 2021.
Yeah.
So she said that. I was like, I felt that, ma'am. I felt it.
Right.
She literally married a Chad.
Right.
That's actually the character's name is Chad. I thought he was just saying that to like make fun of him. Like, no, it literally is a Chad.
He's I seen that he was the fight choreographer for freaking John Wick, coincidentally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can buy that.
Yeah. So that was cool.
Okay, so one of my favorite parts of this movie, and it's all for all the wrong reasons, when Morpheus like first showed up in the bathroom,
man,
and he's trying to entice Neo to take the pill. Bro, why did he come out looking like a pimp?
Yeah,
trying to get one of his tricks back on off the wagon. Like,
no,
baby,
bro,
you need this. This is the good shit. You can make all the money. He was leaning on the wind. He was leaning everything. He had the orange Naruto zoot suit on. I was like, bro, if he backhands Anderson right now, I will die.
the entire movie, my man was dripped out constantly.
He was.
Yeah. I appreciated that for real. It gave a little bit of a new twist to the movie, but it even proves more about the world, about like emotions and feelings rather than ones and zeros. Instead of black suits, this man is out of here, colorful, all types of suits, my man.
Who's gonna stop him?
No, right. The whole time, bro, and the whole time, my man was out here. He was even talking fly, bro. Like.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He knew.
They kind of for me they kind of made up for Lawrence Fishburne not being in the movie. So, but at the same time, after like finding out it's 60 years into the future, I mean
that tripped me out. I was like, what?
Yeah, man, 60 years into the future. And the only thing I was kind of bummed out about is that like Niobe was the only person that was like actually there. So
yeah.
Well, hold on. Edgekin made a point. He said,
I see it. He said he died in the Matrix MMO. Here's the thing with that though, and I'm glad he pointed that out because I was going to make this point.
Mm-hmm.
That game is oddly enough not canon to the story, but they've cherry picked stuff from that to use. And kind of follow through with this in this movie, like how the machines kept Neo's body and never gave it back was a plot point in that game. But everything else that happened in it kind of, and also the people that were like for the machines or against the machines or were the Neologists or something. Like it happened, but those games, or now when they made the movie, they didn't take that into consideration at all when they did this. So it was kind of like, well,
but it was weird because I always thought
they kind of Star Wars EU'd it. Like, okay, it's not officially canon, but we'll select and pick what we like out of it.
Because I always thought the Wachowskis like wrote those games, and since they wrote those games, I would figure it was actually like canonical to the actual story.
They did, and that's what makes it all the weird that they kind of didn't go with that, because in the movie Morpheus became head chair of the console, and
right.
they didn't say what happened to him, but I'm like, okay, so
which is kind
what,
of
did he just die?
vague.
It's like Niobe's still around now. Granted, she's younger than him, but like,
Yeah,
what happened?
that's a good point, Edukin. I sure didn't play the game. I had to read about it.
Oh
But
no, I was there. I was deep. I'm talking waist deep into the lore with that stuff. Because, but like you said, like yeah, they didn't actually like people. He's like people don't read, people don't play this, so they just said screw it. They just like I said, they just went with what they knew.
yeah. So
Talk, did he just call me a weirdo? I know you ain't talking. You're the one that brought it up.
hey
Don't talk
man,
about me. Pot calling the kettle black. It's to be your own kind,
hey
man.
man,
I swear.
you're talking to the games done quick celebrity.
Right, right. You you peasants with your low single digits.
right. You know. So
Oh,
any more favorite moments?
the sign when in the early in the movie when Bugs jumped on the sign and like messed it up. The sign read Anderson's
Oh yeah,
for those who like to eat shit.
That's hilarious.
Also, the fact that her name is Bugs, as in Bunny,
Bunny, yeah.
because she even says that she's like Bugs, like Bunny.
Like Bunny.
And then later on in the movie, when they get Neo out, and she's the first thing you hear her say when he wakes up. So what's up, Doc? I'm like, really? Like, I understand Warner Brothers, but really? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Also, NPH is having the greatest time of his life.
Facts.
You know he was having so much fun with this especially during that exposition dump at the end or towards the middle. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I just gonna do this thing because I want to. Right. IO and the whole Cynthiast thing.
Right.
A really cool idea. I really like that notion. Mm-hmm. Especially with like the way that the new city looked. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool.
I thought the IO thing was like a play on 01. Like
I thought that too, yeah. But also I was kind of like I kind of thought of it as IO as an input output like on a computer.
Yeah.
Because everything is computer-ish in language and such.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a tit for tat thing for like the 01 city.
You know, probably. I mean, who knows? Unless she just outright says, we can only speculate at this point. Yeah. Smith's aura against Neo when they were in the Matrix did not look nowhere near as convincing or as good this time around.
Did not.
Like, and that's the thing that was kind of the overall attitude I had about a good deal of this movie is that it felt like a fan film sometimes rather than a proper like sequel to the Matrix movies,
a lot of fan service.
Well, not even that. Like, it was more of like it just felt it wasn't as tight as it usually was. Now, granted, it's been like 20 years since I last did anything with this almost, but you know what I mean? Like, it just felt a little weird.
Yeah. It was it didn't like you said, it really didn't feel like a continuation of the story. It just kind of felt like I said in my review, it kind of felt just like a rebuild of
kind of.
Yeah.
And that felt intentional too, because each act of the movie kind of feels like they were recreating some part of the previous films. Obviously, the first third was the first movie, straight up. The second middle half was kind of reload-ish, like as far as the exposition dump and Neo finding out, like, oh, you got to do this and got to do that, and you see the city for the first time. And the third one felt kind of like Revolutions, only not.
It was like it was like in reverse of the ending, kind of sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I would like to point out too, when NPH's whole like, yo, resurrecting you is crazy expensive. I'm like, damn, even in the Matrix, healthcare is expensive.
Facts.
Like, you just can't get away from it. Like, come on, man. What is the Matrix Canada like?
Wow. That was kind of interesting because I wish they would have delved a little bit deeper into that, because so when exactly did they repair their bodies, like as soon as Neo defeated Smith, or like a couple of years later? Because this is 60 years.
I think so, but it was more of like, apparently the analyst was just there, which I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. Yeah. So they just spent the whole time. So them repairing Neo wasn't that hard. Fix his eyes. Cool.
Right, cool.
Trinity, on the other hand, literally got kebabbed by iron bars.
Facts.
So they had to do a whole lot of patchwork with that. So I'm like, okay. It was just that sounds awful.
Right.
Also, another thing I really kind of thought was cool, how when they were trying to rewrite the code and get their source code back up and running, how hope and despair are nearly identical as far as the code goes, according to the analysts. I thought that was a neat concept.
Yeah, me too.
And they straight up Monsters Inc. the shit out of them too. It's like, hey, guess what? The more we torture you and the worse we treat you, the more power you output. I'm like, wow. Like, man, I've seen this before somewhere.
Which was really interesting, because that's what, like, back in the last couple movies, the architect was like, well, first we built the first Matrix was a heaven, and then the second Matrix was like a whole nightmare of things, but both didn't work. So it's really interesting how it kind of sort of like has these specific emotions. They put like hope and despair together, and somehow it actually works out, you know?
Yeah, because according to the analysts, is saying that trying to get something that yearning for something that you can't have, but then desperately cling on to what you have is, like, according to your species, the definition of existence. Like, wow, that's depressing.
It's depressing, very, but it's pretty profound too, to be honest, because, you know, like in life, people try, you know, they have goals and ambitions, and they do so much. Like, people work for this and work for that for something that they can't reach. And it takes all this hard work and dedication and energy and sadness and bumps in the road and all that other jazz, just for something that you may never get for the rest of your life. So it kind of makes sense.
Also, I appreciate that this movie had literal bots.
Right. Yeah.
Actual NPC bots. And considering, like, I had just played Pokemon Unite right before I watched it, and that does have bots in it, I'm like, wow, okay, I can see why they, like, grabbed onto that onto that concept and just kind of ran with it. Also, I wrote down on my notes, I am one with the Force, and the Force is one with me. Because straight up, that I'm like, okay, you just have the Force now.
Yeah, he's got the Force. One thing that I was really like, I've always had questions about Neo's specific powers, or should I say glitches, that, like, he's capable of doing. You know, because, like, why did they specifically give him that? Because if you notice, like, even in the trilogies, that, like, he's supposed to be, like, you know, this messiah, or this one that is able to bend the Matrix as he sees fit. But the only thing that he really does is stop bullets and fly. And now here,
I mean, you say that like it's just chump change. Like, oh, he only stops bullets and flies. Like, what a weeb.
I mean, of course, like, but then, like, of course, like, he resurrects Trinity, which I think is when Trinity got his code imprinted onto her. I had a whole theory about that.
Oh, you mean when he literally went inside of her?
Yeah.
Not even being gross.
Yeah.
Literally, it's what happened.
He goes inside, revives her heart. I believe that is when his code was imprinted onto her, and that's
possibly
how. Yeah, I mean, it's just a theory of mine, because, like,
I mean, it makes sense, because that literally was like, I'm putting a piece of myself in there.
Right.
Again, not being gross or being dejective about it is literally what happened. He, like, reached in her body, massaged her heart, and brought her back.
Right. Because I can get hella deep into it, but like if you noticed, there is, like, you know, you have Trinity, but if you notice, the only people that are extremely close to Neo, to the point where they have, like, his like touches, his you know, his imprints on him, is Trinity and Smith. And those three have some type of connection to Neo, to where things change when they get together. So I don't know. I mean, I could, you know, that could be something deep, but I'm not, you know, I'm not going to reach. But
no, that makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah. But like that's where I think that might have happened, to where when they were doing their reconstruction, trying to put their codes together and everything, I think that might be, because that could only explain why she's out here on her Neo tip, forcing, you know.
I mean, it is an idea of like, well, they even said in the movie, she always believed that she believed in me. I never believed I was the one. She did. So
Right.
apparently, when that's what triggered that, so now this time around, it's reversed. But they are like kind of like you mentioned, they complete a circuit.
Yeah.
Because when I first watched it, when the analyst was going on this whole thing of like, oh, it was, I just realized it was never just you. I'm like, but there's been plenty of times where he was nowhere, they were nowhere near each other.
He was
But
out here. He was out here doing hella stuff.
right, but then I thought about it, I was like, well, no, I think about it as in the Matrix they might have been apart, but physically they're always like pretty close
Right.
to each other when they're
always pretty
jacked
close.
into. They're sitting next to each other on the ship.
And also, and also remember when he met the architect, he said that he was special because rather than being connected to the real world with the general people, he was connected to be motivated to save the world by one person, and that was Trinity.
Yeah,
So,
he had stated that they were programmed to react to the human species in a far more general sense.
right,
Your reactions are far more specific
right,
vis-a-vis love, and
yeah,
and he just popped her up on all the screens like some voyeuristic
right.
person.
He was like,
So
I can see the chemical reactions, blah blah blah, all that other stuff.
oh, that was weird. That was
Yeah.
the Merv gave her an orgasm cake. I'm like, really? Like, granted, I was like 15 when that movie came out, so I didn't quite get what's going on. But looking at it now, I'm like, wow, they were not subtle about any of that, were they?
No, not at all. But yeah, I think the whole Neo Trinity connection thing was cool. I think I'm still kind of not used to Trinity having like she seems like she has more power. That's the issue that I was really like. Neo kind of just, I mean, he does cool things, but not as much. And then you have Trinity. Might I add, she's like beating up the current architect of the Matrix and putting him back together with the snap of a finger.
That was kind of cool. Although,
That was dope.
did you catch that nice foreshadowing at the beginning when they first met with each other? She's like, oh, how she talked about how her husband laughed at her, and she said like, I wanted to kick him so hard, not too hard, but just hard enough to like knock his jaw off. And then she did the same thing to the analyst.
Right.
She literally kicked his jaw clean off his face.
Right. And that was and that was actually I'm glad you said that because like it was to me that was more of like not Tiffany but Trinity because when she snaps out of it and she looks right at him and says, "Stop calling me Tiffany. That's not my name. I hate that name." It's almost it's almost as if she was directly talking to the architect because of the situation he put her in to be to get more energy when it comes to seeing Neo in that version of the Matrix. So like,
Oh yeah, this whole movie is literally Neo and Trinity's subconsciousness trying to get out
right.
without them realizing it. It's just Neo's was a bit more overt about it. Like, hey, I made this modal. I unintentionally made this modal so that you can find this program,
right.
train him enough so that he can know what to do to get me out of this thing. So then I know what enough to do to get her out of this thing.
That was godlike. That was
That was
freaking. That was
that's the
freaking
whole
cool.
movie right there.
That was that was freaking cool. He basically like made a free he made insurance for himself, which is crazy wild.
I appreciate it. Although the one note I have here that I still not quite fond of, I'm like, why is the Merovingian in this movie?
For no reason. He's in there just to be mad. That was it.
I mean, I understand if I went from being like basically the kingpin of crime to being a bum, I'd be a little pissed too. But
right.
Like, bro just got shoved in there just because. And then right before they left, oh, this is not over. Our sequel trilogy spin-off movie is not complete. Spits at him. and then the camera just pans right down, and they just go right back to what they were talking about. Like, anyway,
they like for real. I really just think it was an excuse for Bugs and her crew to have something to do while Smith and Neo fight, because like they just can't be out here and waiting for Smith and Neo to finish fighting. And it's funny because I noticed like when Neo did his little shield thing, force, whatever he calls it, he kind of just disappears and leaves.
Yeah, he just well, okay, no, he doesn't disappear and leaves, but the Merovingian does just like dips out. Like the camera doesn't even show him leave. They just pan down and they're just like, all right, well, that happened. That was a thing.
So like I really thought, like when I saw the trailer, I thought, oh, the Merovingian's back. Maybe he has something. Nah, my man was just bitching. He was just bitching that deal. Like, bro, this is your fault. You did this to us. And Hawk spit. And
again, if I went from the kingpin of crime to literal homeless hobo, I'd have some choice words too.
Yes,
especially for 60 years.
Yeah,
like, bro, 60 years.
But I wish I don't know, they could have did more with my mans. You know, a little, just a little bit more, just to be, instead of being like, hey, I'm out. I'm out of here.
I'm out.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
So my question, I have a question for you.
All right.
What did you feel about the real world part of it? Like, how do you feel they did with that?
All right. So I think to be honest with you, there wasn't that many scenes of like outside of the Matrix. And I think that was because of the critics or the fans being critical of Zion in the trilogy, because apparently nobody really liked those scenes and those parts. But I think those scenes are important. And to be honest, man, they had to shove a lot of stuff. It was a 2-hour movie. They had to shove a lot of stuff in there just to like to get you back into the groove of the Matrix. But one thing, like I said, I'm pretty bummed out that when you see IO, it's just Niobe, and they really didn't get a chance to, world build the outside, but they just show you that they're making fruit now. And I think people really wanted, or the developers really wanted to just stick to the Matrix, because they probably didn't want to give anyone a reason to dislike the movie. So I think I myself wanted to see just a little bit more, because I wanted to see how the world is 60 years later after, Neo eliminating Smith and the peace. Because like you don't necessarily see, okay, like for example, when they're talking about how Neo changed everything to where even machines and humans are coexisting. Like you really only see like a couple machines, like in the ship. You really only see the what are they called? The dude. Yeah, you only see Morpheus, in human form, and like the one dude in the fruit, whatever they call it. You don't necessarily see actual people living in this city coexisting with humans. I think that would have been a really cool thing to see, to show people how Neo really did change the world after his sacrifice. I think that would have been a little bit cooler, but as like I said, they probably had to get a lot of things done and cleared for you to see. And I think seeing the human parts of things is really important, especially for the Matrix, because like it to me, it doesn't make sense to have the Matrix as the simulation of a bunch of machines creating humans and cooking them like batteries, but not see what happens when they become free and how they react and adapt to survival. I think that's a really important thing. Yeah, it's a really important thing to see. And we really didn't see much of that at all. We only saw Niobe, and we only saw cool buildings. And I don't know, now they have like a a Doppler radar 5000 that makes clouds and stuff. You know, we really didn't see too much of how they lived, how they like, even maybe there could have been a chance that they actually started over with machines and have machines in the house helping them out doing stuff, or they even have machines having their own families or stuff. You really don't know what's going on. You just know everything is cool now and peaceful, but you really don't see that because, you know, when it comes to like cinema and filming, one of the most important rules is to show rather than tell. You know, it's better than
Right.
it's better to show than tell, and that will give you more developed on how the world is. Because right now, but I think the movie was really all about just Neo and Trinity and getting them back together, and a
Oh
lot,
yeah, this
yeah, a
straight
lot
up
of
a love story for them.
yeah, a lot of that stuff probably didn't matter, but you know, that's just one of the things that would have been cool that you know that we could have seen. Because like, for example, like in the Animatrix, you see the whole Renaissance thing, the one episode where they talk about how people was in civilization and like the iRobot stuff going on, and then it would have been cool if it would have been like coming full circle back to how that
Hmm.
was before, like, you know, Rule 1 happened or something got broke. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it could have been, they could have expanded upon that, but I don't think it would have made sense or it would have mattered, rather because like it would have had nothing to do with trying to get Neo and Trinity back together. So
Yeah, it does feel like a tale of two stories. You know,
hmm
whereas the one hand is like, hey, we're going to do this meta commentary about like sequels and needless reboots and remakes being made. But
yeah,
then on the other hand, it's like, well, we got this story of these two trying to like find each other again. But then on top of that, you have like, hey, here's what happened. Like, here's the actual sci-fi part of the story that, you know, all this was based around. I guess we should fill in the void a little bit on that, so we
right.
don't pull a Force Awakens where it's like, oh yeah, this is going on for 30 years, and then we have this
hmm
resistance and everything. I'm like, but why?
Right,
Nah, no time for that.
right. You know, so who knows? So real quick, um, when at the end of the movie, uh, I was wondering how are Neo and Trinity going to redo the Matrix with the architect just like chilling, like, so hey yo, analyzer, what, we're going to redo this Matrix that you have the power over? Okay. Ha-
So now, okay, so now that it feels like now that they've unlocked their powers, I feel like he can't control them, and this kind of ties back into the prophecy, quote unquote. That being that um, someone was born inside the Matrix that could reshape the world as they see fit, and then that their coming would herald the destruction of it.
but
So
but but are
I'm
those
thinking the first,
but are those
well,
powers or are those glitches?
yes, and this is why I say that. So the first movie was about that knowledge being made into the fact of like, hey, we have the one here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the whole point was to remake the Matrix as they saw fit and herald
Mm-hmm.
the destruction of it. But the second and third movie, that didn't happen because
Mm-hmm.
of Smith being himself, but then all the stuff with the war in Zion. So all of it was either dealing with him or dealing with the machines in the real world. So they never got to that point of remaking the Matrix in their image and such. So I think that's what this movie is coming back around to now that they've,
Mm-hmm.
you know, finally got rid of all that. Okay, now we can circle back around to this end bit, kind of like with
So do you think they're
this.
like, when they say remaking the Matrix, do you think they're literally going like into programs and reshaping them, or do you think they're on their superhero tip?
I think it's a little bit of both. So I think it's more of, okay, it's less of we're just going to tear it all down and let them all go, but more of make it so that if you want out, you can, but if not, then we can show you what it means to have your mind freed from the control of this system. So that way, if you do decide to stay in here, you can actually live your best life. So that might go swimmingly, it might blow up in their faces because you got a bunch of superpowered U's running around. That.
Well, also because I was thinking about that because like I didn't know whether or not like the piece was still going on because if you remember at the end of Revolutions, the conversation between the Oracle and the Architect, and they're like, well, if anybody wants out, and the Architect's like, well, they'll be free. And I didn't know whether or not that whole agreement was still in place because I know there was a big purge of everything, and the Oracle was gone. I guess the last Architect was gone.
It wasn't, and because during that flashback scene with Niobe, when she was talking about how it started with the Machine City, so the first thing that happened was the people that wanted out got let out per the Architect's agreement, and because it sounded like a lot of people got out, and as a result, the power plants couldn't produce as much power. So therefore, the machines, because she even said like nothing breeds war like scarcity.
Right.
So as that report at that point, the machines started attacking again. But then the machines also, when Neo put his source code back into the Matrix, when Smith absorbed him, I guess that gave them a touch of sanity or something to where there's like, hey, we don't have to be slaves to this. We can get out too. So that's what started the Syntheus movement. And then you had machines on the side of the humans fighting against other machines.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So
see, I think
whether it's still going on now, it doesn't look like it.
Okay, I think that's around the part where I had to walk out of the movie because I think my job called me or something. But okay,
you answer your phone when your job call you, man.
Nah, man. They because I deal with like actual people, so like when they call, when they call, I gotta answer. And it's usually not about like shifts or nothing. It's just about, were you there when this guy tripped down the stairs or something, or like something like that, so they can document things. But
okay,
yeah, that's how that works. But
that sounds good.
Yeah, but yeah, man, this I think this movie was of course, like I said, there's some things that I think that would have been cooler. Like one thing that I wish they could have did in a cooler way was how they showed Neo in the movie returning, because it's kind of sort of like so he sacrifices himself in Revolutions, and then they take his body. You see Neo in like the first 15 minutes of the movie, and I'm like, well, that's cool. There's really no suspense or anticipation of seeing Neo. Like Neo is just there. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's kind of anticlimactic to the way when you get the whole info dump when the analyst is talking about how they found him and reconstructed him and everything. It would have been really cool. It would have been really cool because basically, like, you have the first act of Neo getting out, the second act of Trinity getting out, and the third act of Neo and Trinity escaping and doing their, Messiah thing. I think like it would have been cooler if they would have waited until like the second act maybe to get Neo, and the first act was maybe spending actually figuring out where Neo is and finding and seeing where, like, we spent so long blah 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 trying to find Neo, because it's like, oh, okay, we found a loop, he's right here, let's go get him. It would have been cool if there was a way, like they were seeing Neo. Okay, for example, it would have been cool if we went into, like, say, Bugs' life before she was awakened, right? And we had like maybe 10 or 15 minutes of her life going on, and then the scene where she's up there cleaning out the windows in Metacortex, and she looks up and sees Neo, and then things get really, really crazy, and they're like, we found him, and then that's when they start looking for things. I think it would have been cooler because the suspense would have been there, and then we get Neo out, all right, we're back, and then basically we can just start and pick up, like, where the movie just goes in. Maybe try and see and get Neo, and then maybe even work on Trinity while that's happening. I don't know. I just feel like the character the way he was introduced could have been like a lot, kind of like maybe they could have done something, because like for real, this whole movie, like you see these characters, they're back, and then you have this beloved story and these beloved characters. For just just for example, how they did the characters in the new Spider-Man movie. I'm pretty sure you were in the theater, and then when certain characters came out, I don't know if people seen the movie, but when certain characters came out, people was screaming, yelling, crying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. So it would have been really cool if they could have did something like that. But to be honest with you, like you just see all the characters right there. Neo's here, Trinity's here, Smith, all of them. We're here, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like it would have been like a way cooler to like have sort of like a suspense type of element to the movie, because there really wasn't. And I feel like it would have brought more to that movie if you would have introduced Neo in a way to where you have the sense of relief or a sense of victory that, oh my gosh, Neo is actually back into the Matrix. But they basically tell you everything in the trailers, and then you just watch the movie to find out what else happens. Like, well, Neo's back, you know, he's doing his thing, we put him back into the Matrix and all that.
And also I feel like that's just part of the whole marketing part of it, is like, hey, we're making a sequel to a movie that we frankly no one asked for, so we got to justify our existence. So what's the best way to hook someone in, you know?
Right. But they could have, like, I feel like they could have even done that and show Neo all over the place and still made it like made it in the movie to where like you're just waiting for Neo, you're waiting for Trinity. Like I feel like they could have made it like more suspenseful. In fact, like they had the whole ass foolproof plan to get Trinity right then and there, and it went off extremely smoothly, to be honest with you. And
good,
it went really good, and I'm like, yeah, that's tight. And in the way Trinity just snapped out of it and was like, yo, Tiffany's not my name, fam. I feel like, you know, I wish there could have been something more into that, to where like it would have been like really like an emotional type of moment or something really cool, to where she snaps out of it and realizes who she is and wakes up. But I'm gonna tell
you right now, the reason I buy it is because I live in a house full of women. I'm gonna tell you right now, nothing sets him off faster than a dude trying to undermine him for whatever reason. Even if it's a perceived undermining or a perceived slight, they will turn just that quick. Well, so for me, I'm like, yeah, that checks. that clocks out about right. But I get what you're saying though. Is like if it was more of a build up to it, instead of just like, you know, oh, you're Tiffany. Nope, I'm Trinity. Quit touching me.
Right. That kind of makes sense. You got a point there. And
although, I'm sorry, I mean, but
you're good.
I almost had the whole movie figured out just from watching the trailer, but my rendition was, instead of it being a game that they were making, it was a movie that they were making again. That he was making a sequel to this movie against his will, and Smith was his agent, his movie agent.
Right, man.
So it would have literally been Agent Smith, as in, this is my movie agent,
right,
named Smith. And Neo was turned in. All his memories and everything, they tricked him into thinking like, oh, you've made this trilogy of movies that did really, really well, but Warner Brothers wants you to make more. But I was like, but I don't want to make more. Well, we do, though.
Right.
So, like I said, I almost had it figured out, and I thought I was so clever. I was like, oh man, that's sick. It's like, oh man, so that guy is Smith, but he looks different because it's not the same dude, but it is the same dude because it's his agent, Smith, not, you know. So I don't know. I was really feeling myself. So when I saw the movie, I'm like, aw.
Yeah. Nah, man, I had a whole bunch of crazy thoughts about like what was going on and how things were going to go out. I think, hold on, I just thought of something. So when I'm really curious. I wonder why Smith didn't go out like when like after Neo got woke up, and I guess Smith woke up too. I wonder why he didn't go around just cloning people like he was doing, like he did in the last movie after he
didn't have that. He didn't have that capability.
See, and that's what I'm saying. But why doesn't he have that capability?
So here's what happened. Smith started remembering who he was during that shootout in the building.
Oh man,
he remembered his former self, but he didn't have any of his capabilities. So then when Neo got out and came back, he still remembered everything, but he didn't have any of his powers. It wasn't until the very end when Neo hooked back up with Trinity and like, hey, you're starting to regain your abilities, quote unquote, that Smith pulled there's the difference between you and me. You could have been anybody could have been you, whereas I have always been anybody. And then he, turns back into a regular dude. He got his agent powers back, but he doesn't have his revolutions. I'm going to copy myself over everybody, powers yet.
If there's another movie, I'm ready. I need my man Smith to kill everybody. I need it.
He didn't kill them. He just made them him.
All right. Well, that makes sense. Well, I need my dialogue. I need the way he walks, the way he talks. I mean, if we can't have Hugo, I just need the dialogue, bro. I think.
Speaking of, how are you going to have someone named Smith and he only calls him Mr. Anderson like twice, and the rest of it?
I didn't like the fact that he called him Tom. Nope, I didn't like that.
Tom.
I didn't like that.
He don't got a first name as far as he's concerned.
Nah, I'm cool on that. I was like, why are you calling I said it out loud. Why are you calling him Tom?
Mr. Anderson, welcome back.
Welcome back. We've missed you. We needed that. But like I said, bro, maybe it's because of that specific version of the Matrix, and they're not like programmed to be a program, but like programmed to be more human-like. Maybe that's what it is.
I see what you mean. Made them more, because again, this one's built more off of emotions and feelings. So if you're trying to get along with somebody, you're going to call them by their first name. It's more informal. So I see what you mean. I can subscribe to that.
One thing I did like was when Smith, like, it's funny because like Smith, of course, is Neo's enemy, but he really was digging Smith. The more he was beating him up, the more he was talking to him about how much he missed him and stuff. And, man, you and I are the same, bro. Like, I'm so happy to see you, but, you got to die too. But, man, I missed you,
man.
Well,
see, at first, it was him saying, hey, man, just stay out of the Matrix. Then they'll because it took me to the second viewing to figure out, I'm like, what was his deal?
Right.
Like, why are you doing any of this? What's the point? But like I mentioned earlier, he wants him, because he even said it when Merv was on his senior moment.
Right.
When he was saying, like, what the Merv is trying to say is his situation is kind of similar to mine. In order for us to get our lives back, yours has to end.
Right.
So it's either you just don't be in the Matrix anymore, because at that point you only have the one source of the two that they're drawing power from, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
Or we kill you, which has the same effect.
Right.
They can't use they can't use you as a power source, as a supremely powerful power source, which it admittedly took me a long time to realize why they kept referring to people as copper tops.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow, really? I got it from the jump.
Well, again, 14.
No, okay.
So
yeah, I got
I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Well, Lamont, if you ain't see the movie, don't turn to another Twitch channel, my guy. Go to another Twitch channel. Go watch the movie. Go get HBO Max. I told you what we were doing.
Maybe you should have put a spoiler warning in the actual title.
I told him what we were doing. We were playing Street Fighter, and I was like, I gotta stream the Matrix. And he's just like, what, the Matrix? I was like, yeah, we were gonna talk about it. You ain't just going. I was like, yeah, bro. Like, if you don't want to see, we're gonna be talking about stuff. We're gonna be doing spoilers. I warned him. So he's talking.
Come on, don't listen.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Oh, one thing.
Also, hello, Lamont. It's been a long time.
So, yeah, man. So, one thing that I thought I wished would have happened was that they were in Sati's matrix rather than this analyzer dude's matrix. And in fact, like,
Yeah.
what they didn't necessarily. I appreciate you, Lamont. I thank you for supporting. I don't necessarily like. I is Sati the Oracle or not?
No. At least I don't think so. Because that's what I thought going in. I
Me
thought she
too.
was going to be the new Oracle.
Me
But
too.
she kind of has some abilities of her, kind of, because she's like,
But
I don't
like,
want to say it's a pocket dimension, but she kind of is in her own little, like,
yeah, she's in her own little thing.
server room, basically.
You know what? I just thought about it. I guess you don't need an Oracle if the Matrix, because the Oracle was a program to study human emotions. So I guess you wouldn't need an Oracle if you have a Matrix built on human emotions. Does that
This is true.
yeah.
Because it took me, I kind of missed it the first time around where they said that, when the new guy took over, they did a whole purge,
Right.
and Oracle was one of the ones that got basically.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. So that's why she's not around. That's why they hadn't heard anything. Because when that
Right.
new power was rising that they mentioned, that Morpheus ignored,
Right.
that's what they were referring to, was that new version of the Matrix coming in and literally wiping the board clean with all the stuff that's like, yeah, we don't need these anymore. We don't need you. We don't need you.
And now that I'm thinking about it, like, there's necessarily no reason to have an Oracle, because the Oracle was also a tool to guide the systemic anomaly to the source. And if you have the anomaly powering the Matrix, what do you need the Oracle and all these other people for?
Right. Because the whole thing was that that was doing that to disseminate the code and get that going. But if he's already there, just doing it. So, yeah, like you said, what's the point?
Yeah. Oh, what's poppin', paparazzi? Thanks for viewing, brother. I appreciate you. But yeah, there's man, there's a lot of things that there you're right. They had a lot of cool ideas, and they had a lot of cool things that they could have, like, for example, bro, like I'm really interested in Bugs and her crew, but I'm pretty sure they had to do so much that there's so many things that they could have expounded upon, to where like they could do like some Marvel movie stuff, to where like they can do something on like Bugs, or they can do something on what happened after, like during those 60 years and into like where Zion turns into IO or whatever. And there's so many things that they could expound upon. One thing that I really wished would have happened was I really wish that there could have been a point in time where like they cleared the sky. That I think
that one gonna happen.
I think that would have been a cool thing if they could have been able to clear out the sky, just to see what would have, like, maybe they could have like had a truce or something, or some type of way to where like humans can, or machines can, find another energy source, because their energy source was the sun, wasn't it?
Yeah, originally.
Yeah.
Until they turned into people.
So like that could have been something like really cool. But it, like, bro, like there's so many things that they could have done, and I think it would have been really sweet. But you gotta fall in love. Love conquers all. You know what I'm saying? So
only in movies.
Yeah, only in movies. But yeah, I thoroughly really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. IGN is tripping balls. I don't know what the hell.
I don't believe anything they ever say anyway. So I wouldn't give it that low. I'd say it's probably like a 6 or a 7.
Man, I gave it a 7.5 for real. I gave it a 7.5. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Like I understand that there's a lot of things that could have happened, but the way the movie came out, I thought it was pretty cool. Certain things that could have been done better, but It was a pretty good movie overall. Like, I don't know what people expected. I don't understand what people expected to happen when everything that Neo did has been done. Like both of us are saying, this was basically like just like a cherry on top. That probably wanted to see people probably wanted to see Neo and Trinity together, and boom. And now they're both the one. It's pretty much a love story. It's kind of like the last season of Inuyasha, where they ended Inuyasha, but they're like, you didn't kill Naraku. Okay, we'll do it this time since you guys, and then they'd have the cherry on top or whatever.
I forgot all about that show.
Nah, I hate Inuyasha. Oh, I don't necessarily hate Inuyasha. It's just that I loved Inuyasha at first, but they dragged that shit on so much to where when the finale came up and they didn't kill Naraku, I was like, I'm cool with this stupid show. Like, whatever. And then they come
Funny
with
thing is, they didn't. It's not the show itself didn't end. They just stopped because they just decided not to. Like, the manga kept going for so much longer,
yeah,
and they finally wrapped up not too long ago.
It's so dumb. Like, it got on my nerves. And then they got, who is it? Inuyasha's daughter or one of it? I don't know. Now they have like a something Hime or something like that. They got a whole and I'm like, first off, the first Inuyasha, what you gonna? Y'all better kill the dude, the enemy, for whoever it is, the main antagonist, right away before y'all freaking drag on, bro. Like, I'm telling you, I've never seen a freaking anime where freaking two people, a guy and a girl, is just playing hard to get the entire time.
People watch that show for the endings and nothing else.
Like, come on, man, just do each other already or something, man. Like
Oh,
at the
jeez.
like at the very end, like y'all still. But anyway, back to the Matrix. But yeah. Good movie. It could be better, but I was satisfied with what I saw. I was really scared at the reviews, and then when I seen it, I completely understood the first part of it, what they were trying to do, like their fourth wall breaking. I thought it was very entertaining, and I thought it was really cool that they did a play, like, just being aware of itself. I thought it was a cool thing. The second act was pretty cool. Third act, I'm still kind of getting used to Trinity being Superman. It's pretty funny how she's doing more than Neo, and I wonder how they would redo the Matrix. And I want to know what's going on with Sati, where she's doing, like, she's like what's his name? She's like Mumra, looking in the freaking,
Well, staring into the crystal ball.
staring into the crystal ball. So, but yeah, man, I thought it was pretty sweet.
I like that they brought Sati back. I was like, oh, that was so cool.
Nah, man,
that whole section of that movie was weird.
No, they had to, man. They had to. Because like they hinted to how. See, here we go. They hinted to how Sati was supposed to be really important, but in the movie, she kind of wasn't. I mean, she's the reason for the plot. I like to read those. She was important for the plot of how to get Trinity back, but like it wasn't even her Matrix. And I thought the entire time, because even you look at how the Matrix looks, it looks similar to at the very end where she made that rainbow or like that sky at the end of the movie of Revelations for Neo. I thought that was going to be her Matrix, but here, like,
I'm thinking it was originally, but then the analyst took over.
I mean, I guess, but also, even though what Edgigan was talking about the game, she's like, I think she plays a big role in the game, and they also talk about how Neo and Trinity were like some special experiments or something like that. I don't remember, but they pulled that from me too. But I just wish there could have been a more of like a way that Sati was able to help them rather than be like some freaking dolphin thing, stingray, whatever you call it. but it was cool.
A stingray named Kujaku,
Kujaku, yeah.
which is peacock. Like,
Oh,
okay.
okay, yeah. So, but either way, I enjoyed it. That's something that I would watch again. Where do you rank Revelations in the Matrix movies?
Revolutions, or are we talking about Resurrections?
Resurrections. Where do you rank Resurrections? Did I say Revolutions?
You said Revelations, actually.
Oh, my bad. See, I'm mixing stuff up.
Um,
Where would you rank Resurrections? That's the next one, Matrix Revelations.
Probably third
Really?
out of the four, personally.
I'm actually rank it in order, in order of how the movies come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I enjoy the first one. It's a tie for me between the first one and Reloaded. I personally think that the sequels are heavily underrated, and I think because of now the first Matrix could stand alone by itself in any day of the
Oh,
week,
yeah.
but because of the second and the third movie, they are connected, and I believe that they all three need each other, and it's more like I don't see it as I don't think the movies the sequels are bad at all, because it's like you have the first one where you have this Messiah, where you have this prophecy, and they're finding the Messiah, and then the Messiah wakes up and he sees the Matrix as what it is, and he's this powerful person, and then he goes and starts to free people, and then you find out in the second movie that it's all a lie, and it's nothing but ones and zeros and systematic programs to keep this specific glitch intact and these humans intact until we kill all of them and reboot the Matrix over again, and it's a repeated cycle for the survival of the machines. It's all control. And then you find out in the third movie where they have like the conflict between choice and control, like how Smith always say, we are here because we're not here because we're free, we're here because we're not free. But then the third movie actually deconstructs that whole concept of being in control and fate, and goes back to the first movie of having a choice. You know how Neo talks about how he doesn't want to believe that there's some type of fate controlling him. He makes his own choices. I think all of that is really freaking cool. I don't see how people can't like it's like it's all like they all overlap with each other, and I think that's the coolest thing, because like they all have this specific theme, and it all connects with each other, and it all makes sense to me. So I don't know, maybe it's the Zion scenes or something, but still, in the way Smith,
There's
yeah.
there's a guy on YouTube named Patrick H. Willems. He did a video about understanding the Matrix sequels. Well, it's called Rewriting the Matrix Sequels, and one of the guys that he had talk about on the video did a video called Understanding the Matrix Sequels, and that actually really helped with having a better understanding of what they were going for and what they were trying to do.
Right.
So I'd recommend giving that a watch. Is actually rather insightful.
What's it called again?
Rewriting the Matrix Sequels.
Rewriting the Matrix sequels. Okay, I'll check that out. Because I really appreciate the sequels. I think they get a bad name. They're not like The Godfather 3, the where people hate that. Shoot, I like The Godfather 3 too, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I kind of put The Matrix 4 on its, I don't know, man. It's kind of like it feels like a sequel spinoff. I don't know. To me, it feels like a sequel spinoff.
A side cool.
Something like that, because like it doesn't feel like it necessarily continues anything. It's basically the only thing is like it's 60 years later, but they do the same thing they did in the first movie. It doesn't really continue anything. It just starts over. It starts over. Well, that's the purpose of a reboot, right?
Yeah, I read a line where it was kind of more viewing it as a commentary on what movies and such since those Matrix movies have been made is about, rather
Right.
than it being a sequel to a sci-fi story.
Right. It's kind of like more of a like a, you know, an analyzation, and just using the Matrix as a what do you call it, a catalyst or a vessel, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's I think I done said all I wanted to say about the movie. I think for me, maybe just because it is the Matrix, it's definitely, it has a lot of replay value for me. It has a really good replay value for me. Me personally, I probably didn't watch the Matrix series way too many times. Like way too many times.
We all have our things that we enjoy.
Nah, man, like it's to the point. It's way to the point. Yo, you didn't watch the Matrix, bro? Did we spoil it for you, man? Oh man, I'm sorry. Go watch it, bro. Go watch all of them. Watch all of them. But
I encourage people to give this a shot to see what they think about it.
Oh man, it's
you can read reviews and such, but it's best to just see it for yourself and make your own decision.
Oh yeah. I think Matrix 4 is pretty good. I still don't understand why people will call it trash. I don't think it's trash at all. I think it's really good. It's a love story, man. Like you really can't you really can't see it as something like you can't see it as like a continuation for real, because it's really not. Like it's a reboot.
Exactly.
So you just have to look at it as something they're starting all over. Just like how at the end of the new Spider-Man, there's, you know, they did what they did, and now there's opportunities for new things. It's a reboot, and they're just using the old people. It would have been cooler if, for example, it would have been, well, see, I'm going into things that I'm not sure if they're really meant to do, but it would have been cool if they used Neo and Trinity for the next movie to have a new systemic anomaly, if that's even possible at this point. So, you know, because I don't know, because Bugs seems like a really interesting character. To be honest, Bugs and Morpheus, surprisingly to me, had really good chemistry. I don't know if anybody caught that, but I think
they did.
Yeah, they made a really good team. And I think it would be really interesting if they went more into Bugs' story, because the gist of it is that she was washing windows and saw Neo, and then she broke free. But it seems like she's the captain of the new ship and everything, and it would be cooler it would have been cool if we can delve into her backstory a little bit more. Or, you know, the backstory of some other of the new characters or whatnot. So, but you know, time will tell, I guess. Any last words or remarks about the movie?
I liked it. Like I said, I didn't hate it. It was all right. I encourage people to go to watch it, just so you can see for yourself. It really had a lot of work to do to justify its existence. So,
right. Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think it wasn't bad. I feel like the action could have been a little tighter though, because some of those fight scenes, like, what
I don't like is like, if you're gonna do some really cool fight scenes, don't make them obvious that it's choreography. Like, I don't understand what's so hard about making, like, having fast combat, making it look like, you know, smooth and fluid. Like, what's so hard about that?
You mean like what they did with the other ones?
The first movie, the combat was stellar. It was great. What they did with the other ones, I'm not sure. I kind of have a theory about that, because if you notice throughout the movies, each of the Matrixes, the humans for some reason start to act more robotic. I don't know if you noticed that, because the first Matrix, like, they're just, they're regular human dudes in and out of the Matrix. But the Matrix Reloaded, they started acting really stale and started acting really robotic. And I don't know, maybe
that's a symptom of, well, we told our story, but it made all the money back in 99 and 2000. So Warner Brothers backed that truck up to the then Wachowski brothers, and said, "Hey, could you do that again?" And they said, "Okay."
But I don't know. I just feel like the combat could have been a lot better. I mean, I don't get it. You got these Asian movies and kung fu and all the other stuff. Your box and all that, and your Ip Mans that you can watch or learn from or something. You freaking got Chad. John Wick, the combat in John Wick is amazing. How you gonna do that in John Wick, but then do this in the Matrix? I don't understand, bro. I mean, I know y'all kind of aged, but still.
Whole time I was watching it, I even thought to myself, this just feels like a lesser John Wick, because he even looks like John Wick, because he just that's not even John Wick anymore. That's just how Keanu Reeves looks.
Right.
So they're just I'm not cutting anything.
Right. Well, apparently he was filming John Wick later, so that's why he couldn't cut his hair.
Oh, that makes sense. It comes out 2023 in May.
I seen the little teaser. I'm actually hey yo Boog, chill. I was actually getting ready to watch. I gotta figure out where I can watch all three, because I've only watched the first movie and I never get a chance to watch the second and third John Wick, because they seem really, really freaking good.
Oh, get with me later on. I can set that up for you.
Oh, okay, bet. Cool. But yeah, man, I think we done said all we can say about this movie. If you guys haven't seen The Matrix Resurrections and you're a fan of The Matrix, go watch it. I believe it's a really good movie. You'll have your questions, but I believe you'll be satisfied. You just have to realize that this is a reboot and that this is a love story. Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily call it a reboot. I would just call it unfinished business. They wanted to revive Neo and Trinity, and get the max, make it flip, get it fall in love. Skirt on the curb, Bruce Wayne in the bad. But yeah, I think we're good here, Jad.
I think so. So yeah, definitely give it a watch, if nothing else. If you have HBO Max or you have access to it, definitely give it a peep there, because that's how I saw it, and I'm glad I did, because I was able to catch a bunch of stuff that I probably would have missed if it was in theaters.
I am gonna watch it again. Oh, thank you, Poparachi, right, for the follow. I appreciate it. But I am definitely gonna watch it again, because there are some things I missed. I want to go back into. There's a lot of stuff that I want to watch. But thank you, Jad, for coming through and having this discussion. I don't know what's the next stuff we can talk about. I don't know. We gotta do this regularly, man.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I always enjoy talking cool things.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh shoot, I don't know how long that's gonna be. Yo, Prestel, when's the new Sonic coming out? I know you know. You're Sonic Hat Man. Are you gonna do a Space Jam review? No, I'm not doing a Space Jam review. Here this nigga go. All right, whatever.
Yeah, Prestel want to talk about Space Jam?
Yeah.
So funny enough, Space Jam actually did the same thing that this movie did, making fun of the nature of sequels. Only they were bald enough to actually do it.
Gotcha. That's funny. I haven't got a chance to see the new Space Jam, but
You're not missing. You are missing nothing.
All right, bet. Bet.
The first one was kind of okay, but honestly, I like the first one more so for the soundtrack than the actual music, or than the actual movie itself. But the movie itself was still good, but the soundtrack was great. This second one has neither.
Oh, that sucks. Have you seen the Hathaway movie?
No.
the Gundam Hathaway movie?
Oh no. I've been meaning to watch that actually. It looks interesting.
I was going to say watch that, my guy, because they're doing a trilogy.
Really?
Yes, they're doing 3-part movies. Watch it. It's really, really good. The animation is great. The story is good. It's really good. Please watch it, because me and my man Will, Will, big old Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him. Baseball Will.
Yeah, he's really into the Gundam series, and we've been talking about.
He made it known.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about that, and I'm really.
Where can I watch it at? Do you know?
Shoot.
Or is it going to be one of those things I just have to find it?
Actually, hold on. I think it's on. Is it on Netflix? I don't remember.
If it's on Netflix, I'll watch it now. Like that sounds like great.
It's either, I think it's like on one of them, Netflix or Hulu, or
Let's play a drinking game.
Or one.
Because I know a lot of the series are on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Gundam.
It is on Netflix.
Yep, Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway. Go check that.
I will be watching it once we're done here.
Yeah, watch that joint. Check it out and see what you like, and we can probably talk about that too.
Oh snap!
Yes,
I look forward to it.
Yes. Well, all right, man. I'm gonna let you go because now I have to get and talk about some rappers.
Oh God!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Out again.
I get. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna cut it now before the internet craps out on me again. So thanks for having me.
All right, bye, nigga.
Bye.
All right. That was my man Jad, y'all. We had to talk about the Matrix real quick. I really appreciate him for coming through.